Vitor Pereira, the new Nottingham Forest manager, looking ahead to his first game in charge. It's the first leg of their Europa League playoff away from home against Fenerbahçe. I've got his CV in front of me, Luke Chambers. I mean, it's an incredible number of clubs that he's had. If we go back to 2013, so 13 years ago, he was at Al Ahly over in Saudi Arabia, stayed there for a year. Then he went to Olympiacos, lasted less than a year. Of course, that's one of Evangelos Marinakis' other clubs. Fenerbahçe for his first spell in charge, lasted a year. Then he went to 1860 Munich, didn't see out a year. 3 years in Shanghai. Back to Fenerbahçe for less than a year, Corinthians for less than a year, Flamengo over in Brazil for less than a year, Al Shabab, I think that's Egypt, then Wolverhampton Wanderers, lasted about a year in charge there, started really well, unravelled very quickly. I mean, this is a match made in heaven, isn't it, for Marinakis? A manager only ever stays somewhere for about 9 months.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, that the quote tickled me. You don't get him in for a long time, you get him in for a good time. So if he does the business, keeps this club, massive club in Nottingham Forest, in the Premier League this season, then it will be mission accomplished. And then I think you reassess again as a club, and Marinakis will make his decision.
Well, then Marco Silva potentially is available when his contract ends at Fulham, and we know they have a very close relationship, him and the Forest owner.
Exactly, but it does need to settle down. Things need to settle down at Nottingham Forest quickly, and hopefully for them and as a group of players, and Pereira as the new, like you say, latest manager, can this be the perfect tonic, just a break from the Premier League, just for him to assess his players, see who's really on board with what he's asked them to do inside the last week, and if they can put that into practice. But ultimately, if they went back to what has brought them so much success last season as a group of players and speak clearly with their manager, I'm pretty sure they have enough quality to get themselves out of the trouble.
I'd be interested, maybe we should have asked this when Matt Scott was on earlier. We know he's a big Forest fan, but Forest fans still hold Marinakis in very high regard. He was the man who ended their Premier League exile. He's taken them under his stewardship back into Europe for the first time in 3 decades. But if they were to be relegated this season as a direct result of the bad managerial appointments that he's made, would that relationship start to turn frosty?
Well, I think Nottingham Forest as a fan base and as a club with the history that they have, it's certainly a very, very demanding fan base that ultimately make their opinions known. I remember being at the game at the City Ground against Midtjylland, and that was the night it turned sour against Ange Postecoglou, and it was very, very difficult scenario to be in an environment that I didn't even feel comfortable in, let alone the players and the men that are involved. So there's been some decent appointments, but the decisions that have been made have ultimately cost them, and they're now looking over their shoulders at the relegation zone.
Well, the two sets of teams have emerged from the tunnel. They are lined up in front of the UEFA Europa League emblem that engulfs the centre circle. There's a big banner actually overhanging the tunnel that reads "Believe Victory is Near." We know it's going to be a very hostile environment for these Nottingham Forest players, all decked out in their Garibaldi red strip and smart red tracksuit tops as well. The prospect of facing Liverpool in the Premier League on Sunday looms large, especially with that gap to the bottom 3, down to just 3 points now. But for tonight, those travelling Forest fans will be hoping continental competition can prove a welcome distraction. Just a reminder of the team notes for those of you maybe just coming in from work, just tuning in. 3 changes for Forest from the side that drew 0-0 at Wolves last midweek. Stefan Ortega makes his European debut for the club in goal, with Matt Sells out injured. Murillo returns from missing the last 2 games with a calf issue. He replaces Morato in the heart of the Forest defence, and Igor Jesus, who scored 6 in 6 in the Europa League this season, he's preferred up front to Lorenzo Lucas. So the Forest team once again: Ortega in goal, Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Nico Williams are the back 4. Sangare and Anderson deepest in the midfield, with Hutchinson with plenty to prove following his record move from Ipswich last summer. Gibbs White and Hudson-Odoi in behind Igor Jesus up front. For Fenerbahçe, Ederson, once at Manchester City, in goal. Semedo, the former Wolves man, is alongside Oosterwolde, Skriniar and Mulder in the back 4. N'Golo Conte, the ex-Chelsea and Leicester man, partners Guendouzi of Arsenal in midfield, with Asensio, the ex-Aston Villa loanee, in front of them, and then Aktürkoğlu, Sheriff and Talisca, who scored 21 in 35 this season, the Brazilian. Well, they are the front trio. A reminder coming up later here on Talksport 2. We'll be at Celtic Park, Celtic against Stuttgart in the first leg of their Europa League playoff round. And we're also in Bosnia with Crystal Palace. Updates of their first leg Conference League playoff. Looks like we're going to get underway a little bit late here. Luke Chambers, the two captains, just going through the coin toss.
Yeah, but what an atmosphere. What an opportunity for Nottingham Forest just to put that Premier League form behind them, and just the disappointment and chaos, like we've mentioned over and over again in the build-up to this match. Massive opportunity as an individual player, a professional, to go into this environment, play in such a fantastic stadium against a huge football club in a fantastic competition.
Well, whoever's won the toss there, it looks like the winning captain has opted to turn the teams around for kick-off. 3 Forest players, by the way, 1 booking away from missing the second leg through suspension. Elliot Anderson, the captain, Morgan Gibbs-White and Igor Jesus as well. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the evening right here on TalkSport 2. But it's fitting in many ways that Forest have come to one of the most chaotic cities in Europe to start a new chapter in what has become a season of mayhem. Vitor Pereira returns to one of his many former clubs as Forest's 4th different manager since September, while keeping them in the Premier League is clearly the priority. Pereira knows his hard-to-please owner, Evangelos Marinakis, is also eyeing European success amidst the carnage, and Pereira will also be aware of the importance of getting his tenure off to a winning start in the Turkish city this evening. And it will be Nottingham Forest, all in red, who get us underway. They are shooting from right to left in the first half. Fenerbahçe decked out in their usual yellow and navy blue striped jerseys, blue shorts and blue socks, shooting from left to right. Elliot Anderson sent off in his last European appearance against Braga. A 1-0 defeat that ultimately cost Forest a place in the top 8 is in possession straight away. And they go back, Forest, to the halfway line in Murillo, and you can hear Luke the Wolf whistles as Forest are trying to monopolise the ball early on. Yeah, absolutely, and it's putting them under pressure, but Callum Hudson-Odoi on this near side with delivery. Yeah, good cross into the penalty area, but scooped away by the captain, Skriniar, albeit at the expense of a Nottingham Forest corner inside the first 45 seconds. Yeah, real fierce atmosphere, and like you said, you heard those whistles, and to concentrate on the game when you're as a player and as an away player, it's very, very difficult, but a real big chance from inside the first minute from a corner. Anderson stands over the ball. It's going to be whipped in right-footed from this left-hand side to the edge of the 6-yard box, punched clear by Ederson, collected by Nico Williams, and he gives it back to Anderson on this near side, ball into the area, headed clear this time, and it's out of play for a Nottingham Forest throw, 15 yards or so inside Fenerbahçe territory. With Siddiqui Sharif, we've got that header away, the centre forward coming back to do his defensive duty as Vitor Pereira stands, arms folded on the edge of his technical area. Fenerbahçe to the round of 16 during one of his 2 spells in charge here. It's the home side coming forward on their first attack, but won back well by Sangare midway inside his own half, and now Williams, the Welsh left back, just slows the game down to a walking pace and rolls it back for Murillo, much to the annoyance of this vocal home support. Gibbs-White picks the ball up high upfield, out to his right-hand side, chance for Hutchinson maybe to get across into the penalty area. He does so, and it's not a bad delivery, met by Anderson at the far post, left foot volley into the ground, and Fenerbahçe get it clear, only as far as Williams though. Williams with his right foot, sweeps the ball back towards the far post, headed down, and then swept away by Guendouzi. Really positive start this from Nottingham Forest. Yeah, brilliant start, worked it out brilliantly. Sangare is that main linchpin in the middle of midfield, picked it up just outside his own centre circle, fizzed a great ball through Fenerbahçe's midfield into Morgan Gibbs-White just outside of the 18-yard box, fizzed it down again on the outside for Amari Hutchinson, who 1v1, he thrives off them situations, delivered one into the box, and it's their main man, Elliot Anderson, just couldn't get the right connection on the left foot volley just on the edge of the 6-yard box. He's only ever scored 2 Nottingham Forest goals. Elliot Anderson just didn't seem to have conviction in the shot, but nonetheless enterprising signs at the start of Vitor Pereira's first match in charge. I mentioned the 4th manager to take the helm this season. come back to that in a moment, because Forest are coming forward with Igor Jesus. His cross is blocked away by N'Golo Conte. Previously, only 4 men had ever taken charge of Nottingham Forest in a European tie. They've had 4 in this competition already in this campaign.
And if that doesn't sum up Nottingham Forest's season, I don't know what does. But a real bright start from inside this first 3 minutes. Fenerbahçe have hardly touched the ball.
They've got a throw in here, level with the penalty area. Over on the right-hand side, Olorena looks like he's going to hoist this into the edge of the 6-yard box. Skriniar with a header clear, but only to Anderson on the edge of the box. He volleys it back into a congested 18-yard area, and Fenerbahçe able to smuggle it away. And now they could come forward on the counter-attack, and that was a really important intervention by Murillo, because Sherif was off on his travels. Here's Gibbs White, the skipper. Decent tempo early on in Istanbul. 0-0 on Talksport 2, and still goalless in Bosnia as well. And Crystal Palace are playing the first leg of their Conference League playoffs. Here is Callum Hudson-Odoi attacking down the left. His cross is blocked behind for what will be another Nottingham Forest corner. Good defending by Nelson Semedo, the ex-Wolves man. Never lost against Nottingham Forest. 1 win and 5 draws during his time at Molineux. 2 corners already inside the first 5 minutes for the visitors.
Yeah, another great chance. It's been a brilliant start for Forest. Really look calm and collected.
Anderson stands over the dead ball. Again, it's whipped into the edge of the 6-yard box. Again, the first header away is by Skriniar, and then Hutchinson on the volley against Sherif, and he's going to try and run it clear here, and he's got away from Hutchinson, and then he looks to knock it away from Olorena, but he's put it out of touch for a throw-in for Forest. Looks lively, doesn't he? The 19-year-old on loan from Angers over in France. Pace to burn.
Yeah, really, really impressive. He knocked one away from Amari Hutchinson, who's certainly not slow, and absolutely blistering pace past him. And then he had 10 yards on Olorena and tried to push it past him again, but heavy touch out of play. I think they've just got to watch that. They seem very comfortable in possession, do Forest, but on the break and changeover and transitions from set pieces, they've got to be careful on that counter-attack. It's
the voice of Luke Chambers, former Nottingham Forest star. His team 0-0, 6 minutes gone here, but have been the better side. And Morgan Gibbs White into Hutchinson on the edge of the area. He's left his defender on his backside, pulls the cross back towards Jesus. Only cleared to Anderson on the edge of the box, and then Gibbs White tries in vain to keep it alive. And now Fenerbahçe again will look to counter. It's like Forest are the home side at the moment, with the way that they're dominating possession and dominating the action areas early on.
It's certainly a stadium, and Fenerbahçe with the fan base and the volume that they can emit in this stadium. If Forest can just really continue this, the frustration is going to start to creep in very, very quickly from the home side.
Yeah, just 2 home defeats all season for Fenerbahçe. One of those was in their most recent European tie against English opposition. They lost 1-0 to Aston Villa. Forest have had 92% possession, Luke Chambers, 7 minutes in, 0-0.
Well, I've just pointed that one out to you, Crookie. I can't remember seeing a more one-sided start to a half from an away side. And we're talking about 2 very, very good teams here, and Fenerbahçe who've been on such a fantastic run. Forest are absolutely all over them at the moment.
Edison, the goalkeeper, sweeps the ball left-footed upfield towards Sherif. Aina does well to win first contact, and then volleys the ball into the Fenerbahçe half, picked up by N'Golo Conte, 34 years young now, the ex-Leicester and Chelsea Premier League title winner, has spent the last couple of seasons plying his trade over in Saudi Arabia, won the league there as well. They do have a huge wage bill, Fenerbahçe. It's almost like a who's who of former Premier League stars. Hudson-Odoi gives the ball away cheaply inside the home half of the field, and now it's played out to Talisca, the bleached blonde-haired Brazilian. Ball forward blocked by his fellow countryman Murillo. And Domenico Tedesco, the Fenerbahçe manager, has just called Talisca over to the touchline on the back of that misplaced pass. And that suggests, Luke Chambers, that he's far from enamoured with the way that Fenerbahçe have gone about their business so far.
No, absolutely. And just in front of us on the halfway line, you're looking at Nelson Semedo. He's gone down, and whether that is a tactical one, because they have not touched the ball inside this first 8 minutes, and Forest has started brilliantly. He's now going through with Sherif and Talisca on the side of the pitch, in front of the dugout. They need to make a change massively, because it's been all Forest so far. Brilliant start from them.
Yeah, I think this might be one of those where Semedo's almost been advised to go down just to enable the home manager to get some instructions to his players.
Yeah, he didn't take any treatment, just sat down for a good couple of minutes. He's now headed over to speak to his manager to take the throw-in, but certainly trying to change things very quickly because Forest have absolutely dominated.
Yeah, 9 minutes gone. Fenerbahçe nil, Forest nil, still 0-0 over in Bosnia. Crystal Palace playing the first leg of that Conference League playoff. A very strong team named by Oliver Glasner for that game as well, much like his Forest counterpart Vitor Pereira. Here's Igor Jesus for Forest up over the halfway line, finds Hudson-Odoi, left corner of the penalty area, drew the foul from Skriniar, he went diving in. It's going to be a yellow card for the combative Fenerbahçe captain. The free kick for Forest in a promising area.
Yeah, I think rightly so, and Semedo's now appealing for his teammate. Oh, it's his first foul, but Hudson-Odoi's just dropped his shoulder, knocked it by him, and it's a certain cardinal sin that as a defender you don't dive in, and it's just on the corner of Fenerbahçe's 18-yard box, and he's just nicked it past him. He's dived in, then points at the ball. He's absolutely no way near it, but what a huge chance now for Forest, and certainly unsettles them with Skriniar being their captain and yellow carded inside that first 10 minutes.
I would politely suggest that's not the first time in his career that Skriniar's had his name taken by a referee. Forest have got a bit of an issue here. Elliot Anderson is down with what looks like an arm injury.
Yeah, really strange. I think as he played it through, just nicked one round the corner, and it's Guendouzi who came across. Ball just drops down, he plays it through to Jesus, and he's clattered by Guendouzi, who we certainly know is someone from his history in the Premier League who loves a bit of a late one or a potential dangerous tackle, and he's just stayed down from the impact. And they're now looking as if, just as we watched the replay, it's almost like an elbow into the back of his shoulder and his tricep, I think, on his right side. So he's just clenching his fist as he gingerly walks off the side of the pitch, but he's such an important player, so they're desperate for him to carry on.
I was going to say, he's one player they can't afford to lose with such a difficult run of fixtures to come in the Premier League. They've had both Liverpool and Manchester City in the upcoming weeks before that March international break, but Anderson is back on his feet as Morgan Gibbs-White, the captain, places the free kick down. It's on the left corner of the penalty area. Murillo has come forward from the back, so too Milenkovic. Gibbs-White is just gesticulating where he wants his players to stand. The referee is halting the free kick being taken because there was a Fenerbahçe defender down inside the area.
Yeah, I think it's Murillo who's throwing his big shoulders around just to coming together there. Certainly a strong boy.
There's a conversation with the Forest bench as well, Morgan Gibbs-White, as they plot exactly what they're going to do from this set piece. 12 minutes gone, 0-0 in Istanbul. Gibbs-White towards the far corner. It's a swirling one, but it's over the head of everybody in red and rather tamely behind for a goal kick for Fenerbahçe and a chance for the home team to breathe.
Someone with so much quality and the captain of the team. Brilliant chance for them to really put some pressure on Fenerbahçe, and its delivery flies out at the back post, absolutely nowhere near anyone. What a frustration, especially from the centre-half's perspective, where you have to run all the way back to the defensive area. Big chance goes begging for Forest.
We're listening to Fenerbahçe against Nottingham Forest in the Europa League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Forest certainly have been here for it in the first 12 minutes, dictating the pace of the game without actually really calling Ederson into question as yet. Of course, the former Manchester City goalkeeper at either end, Stefan Ortega, the January signing from City, and Ederson, who actually lost his last game against Forest, a 1-0 defeat at the City ground. He left City to move to Istanbul in the summer. I think I'm right in saying he became the highest paid player in the Turkish league in the process. Not bad work if you can get it. Here is Skriniar, the Fenerbahçe captain, midway inside his own territory. Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Palace have had the ball in the back of the net in Bosnia, but Ismail Assar's effort ruled out for offside. Still 0-0 there in that Conference League playoff first leg. We'll have the second leg live at Selhurst Park on Talksport 2 next Thursday night. All of these games brought to you in association with TNT Sports, your home of European football. Fenerbahçe just seeing a little bit more of the ball, Luke Chambers, than they were for the first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that little change in front of the dugout has given the information they need to try and get a foothold in this game. But what a fantastic start for Forest inside that first 10 minutes. But yeah, you'd expect Fenerbahçe to have a lot more possession, but Forest have certainly started high, pressing high, not really sitting in and trying to get after this game to try and make an impact early on.
Here's Skriniar, just on the edge of the centre circle, plays it out to the mop-haired Guendouzi. Now Semedo coming in from the right touchline. A round of applause from Domenico Tedesco, the Fenerbahçe manager. As his side are keeping the ball well here, but as I say, that's given away. One back by Morgan Gibbs-White. Hutchinson often his travels down the right-hand side. Looks like he's got the beating of Mulder, the left back for Fenerbahçe. Then checks back in field to Sangare. Takes a little bit of the momentum out of the attack, and Forest are back on the halfway line now with Milenkovic.
Yeah, really interesting setup from Forest. Going into sort of a 4-4-2 out of possession, leaving two strikers up, and every time the ball gets switched to a centre-half, Morgan Gibbs-White or Jesus is off and heading off to try and get some pressure on the ball, and they win the ball back again.
The ball through the legs of Guendouzi, releases Hudson-Odoi down the left-hand side. He's got pretty much the byline, tries to pull it back for Nico Williams, but intercepted by Talisca. Can't keep the ball though. He's back with Olerainer, the right back, making only his 13th appearance of an injury-hit season. Such a key player, as Forest finished 7th in the Premier League last term. Get back in Europe for the first time since the mid-90s. In fact, this is their first knockout European tie since a quarter-final against Bayern Munich back in 1996 in the old UEFA Cup. They've won the third corner of these opening 15 minutes. It's going to be from the right-hand side this time.
Yeah, and Amari Hutchinson has started the game brilliantly as well. I think if they can get the ball to him as often as possible, it certainly looks like he's got the beating of Mulder at left back, and every single time he's taken him on, he's either got a cross in or found himself winning a corner, and another chance for Forest with him taking it.
Again, the big men summoned forward from the back. Delivered towards the near post. Skriniar won the first header once more, as he has all three set pieces so far, but it's put back in the area, and Ederson rather flapped at it. Hudson-Odoi tries to chip it towards the top corner. It's over the bar, and it remains 0-0.
Yeah, questions asked again from Forest. Delivery in from Amari Hutchinson, who's all a little bit too static on the first ball in, but the second phase delivered back in by Anderson. Ederson does really well, comes out to around his penalty spot with a big punch, but drops just outside the 18-yard box to Callum Hudson-Odoi. You just try and see what he's trying to do, just a side foot volley to lift it back over Ederson, who was out of his goal, but just too much on it, and it heads over towards the far post and out for a goal kick. But encouraging signs again for Forest.
Just a reminder of the live football coming your way over the next few days. Once we're finished here, we've got a second Europa League commentary, Celtic against Stuttgart. Ian Danta in the chair for that one, alongside Chris Iwelumo, the former Scotland striker. Tomorrow night, a Lancashire derby from the Championship here on Talksport 2. Blackburn scrapping for survival, take on Preston, hoping to launch a promotion bid at the other end of the table. Tomorrow on Talksport 2, we are with the league leaders Coventry as they go to West Brom in a Midlands derby. That's a 12:30 kickoff from the Championship. Our live and exclusive Premier League commentary, you have to wait a little longer than usual. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Manchester City against Newcastle. City with the opportunity to cut the gap to Arsenal at the top of the Premier League after Arsenal drew 2-2 live on Talksport at Wolves last night. The big game's coming thick and fast as Fenerbahçe have the ball at the heart of the defence with Skriniar. 18 minutes gone, 0-0. Skriniar plays it to his left, and Oosterwolde, the long punt forward, looking for the teenager Sharif, but it's easily mopped up inside that penalty area by Milenkovic, and he gets it clear as we welcome listeners from Talksport. 18 minutes gone here, Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Forest have been the dominant force without really troubling Ederson, the former Manchester City goalkeeper, between the posts of Fenerbahçe, and it's the home side coming forward with another ex-Premier League star, Nelson Semedo, down the right, wins a throw-in after Nico Williams came sliding in to make the tackle.
Yeah, and I think that's the first time Fenerbahçe have entered Forest defensive third. Real good covering from Nico Williams, just outside the 18-yard box, down the edge of it, and Semedo trying to get that cross in, but he has to concede a corner, and first chance for Forest to really have to defend inside the first 18 minutes.
Yeah, the corner will be taken by Marco Asensio from this near side, the right. A lot of jostling going on inside that penalty area, and it's headed over the top of the crossbar. It was an opportunity there for Mulder, up from the back, 6 yards out, couldn't keep it down, and it remains Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 0.
And for all the bright start that Forest have had, could have easily been 1-0 down there against the run of play, and all too easy really. Ball just floated in towards the 6-yard box, no one really around Mulder, and it was almost Sharif was right behind him. Both had free headers, but unfortunately for Fenerbahçe, can't get it on target, and a let off for Forest.
And for all Forest possession, they've had 63% of the ball. It was 82% after the first 10 minutes. That's the clearest opportunity either side have created.
Yeah, real let-off. Have to be solid, and I think that's what we've been Forest down for, especially this season. I think over and over again, set pieces have caused them no end of problems, and for all the good play they've had, and all we've done is talk about Forest inside this first 20 minutes, and just one ball over the top down the side, you concede a corner, and that's when you have to come together as a group of players, and the leadership and organisation has to come into play a lot quicker than it did.
Murillo tries to play the ball over the top of the Fenerbahçe defence, but it sails over the head of Anderson as well, and out for a goal kick for the hosts. I mentioned Forest 17th in the Premier League, 3 points above the dreaded dotted line. At this stage last season, 26 games in, they were third.
Unbelievable turnaround in fortunes, and it's just how many things have been at play since that summer transfer window, since the season finished, and them just missing out on the Champions League places by 1 point. It's been a real turnaround.
Anderson with the ball out to the right, asked a lot of Nelson Semedo, has to keep it in play by the corner flag, but in doing so gave possession to Igor Jesus, and it's run out of play by Callum Hudson-Odoi for a Fenerbahçe throw deep inside their own territory. 0-0 on Talksport 2. Guendouzi with the ball forward that Talisca can't keep in play. It's going to be a throw in for Forest now, halfway inside the Fenerbahçe half. Played quickly by Nico Williams to Anderson, who was caught late there by Koglu, but the referee is allowing the game to continue. A bit afraid to put in the odd robust challenge. Fenerbahçe as Forest give the ball away inside the centre circle. They win it back readily enough with Murillo. Murillo bursting forward now, and he's made his way to the edge of the opposing penalty area, and he is let fly left-footed from 20 yards out, and Murillo has scored the first goal of the Vitor Pereira era. It was a brilliant, lung-bursting run, having won the ball back initially pretty much on the halfway line. Nobody was willing to put a tackle in as far as Fenerbahçe were concerned, and when he saw the opportunity, Murillo, to get his shot away, he did not hesitate. Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 1.
Absolutely incredible finish. It looks like it's one of their main attacking players, but it's not. It's Murillo who steps out past the halfway line, reads Guendouzi's reverse pass, brushes off the challenge from N'Golo Kante as if he's not there, and then continues towards the 18-yard box, gets it out of its feet. He looks like he's going to slip in Igor Jesus inside the 18-yard box, but no, just outside the D. He's absolutely smashed one, which ends up nicking off the surface into the far bottom corner, and a fantastic finish from their main centre-half, who gets himself back in the side this evening. What an important goal for Forest.
It's his second goal of the season, Murillo, having found the net in the 3-0 win at Anfield, and you have to say it is no more than Forest deserve after dominating the first quarter of this game.
Absolutely brilliantly set up now for Forest in such a difficult atmosphere. The start they've had has been fantastic, and that is, like you say, no more than they deserve.
Here's N'Golo Kante looking for an immediate response for Fenerbahçe, down by the left corner flag. Chance to get a cross in over the head of all his teammates in the centre, and Nico Williams will be able to mop up and clear the ball away down the opposite left-hand side. Fenerbahçe 0, Forest 1. Palace still 0-0 away from home in their conference playoff, as Igor Jesus now carries the ball into the penalty area. Can he get a shot away? He does, left-footed. It's blocked. Well, Forest are convinced that came off the arm of Oosterwolde. At the moment, the referee has indicated it will be a corner, but you look at the reaction, Luke James, of Nottingham Forest players, they are absolutely adamant this should be a penalty.
Well, I think the issue is the ball is broken out from Forest defending across. Nico Williams gives it to Callum Hudson-Odoi, who just turns and plays one down the touchline in front of the dugouts. But in the middle of the pitch, Skriniar is down, injured. I don't know what's happened because it looked like Jesus was miles away from him. But he carried on playing, took on Oosterwolde, took on Guendouzi, got himself inside the 18-yard box, lets off a strike, and it hits the left bicep of Oosterwolde as he goes down to block the shot. So I think both sides are really questioning whether it's a penalty, but then the reaction from Fenerbahçe players are, why are you continuing once there's a player down? But that's not Jesus' responsibility.
As you say, I think it's hit the top of the arm as opposed to the hand itself, and also I would argue he was in a natural position there trying to block the attempted shot. In the Premier League that certainly wouldn't be given. In Europe sometimes it can be a different point of discussion, and the referee, I think he's going to have a look at the monitor.
Well, I think it'll be very, very, very harsh. Me, with a defensive background of trying to stop shots, he's almost turned his back a little bit. The arms aren't in an unnatural position, in my opinion. But the frustration, I think, from Fenerbahçe was their captain, Skriniar, was down on the halfway line. It looked as if no one was near him. So I'm not sure how that situation developed, but it was not Nottingham Forest's responsibility to put the ball out of play.
In fact, he's not looking at the monitor. The referee was just coming over to check on the fitness of Skriniar, and it looks like they're going to have to make a change, Fenerbahçe. So they've lost a goal. Brilliant run and finish by Murillo, and now they've lost their captain seemingly as well. He's taken the armband off, is he, Skriniar, and will be unable to continue.
Yeah, I think as the play developed, I think he just tried to play a long pass into the striker, and immediately he reaches for his right groin, and he's continued to carry on as the attack developed, and then I think it's too much for him. He's gone down on the halfway line, but the referee isn't going to stop play because of that, and I think that's where the frustration boiled over from Fenerbahçe's perspective.
Well, it clearly wasn't a head injury, was it? Which is why the referee allowed the game to continue, but Skriniar is being replaced here, and it's the former Leicester man, Kaglar Sayoncu, who is coming on, another of the Premier League exiles now plying their trade in Istanbul. His first job will be to defend this Nottingham Forest corner. Visitors leading 1-0. Looking for a second here inside the first 26 minutes of the game. Anderson will take it from the near side, the left, plays it out to Hudson-Odoi on the edge of the area, and then Anderson with a chance to cross. Flicks off Asensio, behind for another Nottingham Forest corner, their fifth already.
Yeah, a little bit of a lacklustre short corner routine between Anderson and Hudson-Odoi, and the quality wasn't really there. But you're looking at a new centre-half just come off the pitch. Yes, he's got lots of experience, but can you put the ball on top of them and test them now they're a little bit weaker?
Anderson with the delivery. Punched up in the air by Edison in goal. Sangare keeps it alive on the edge of the penalty area, not once but twice. And it might come down from Milenkovic. His shot blocked. Anderson blocked by Conte. Still alive inside the box. Comes from Milenkovic again, and Nelson Semedo under pressure with no option but to turn the ball behind for what would have been a corner, but actually the flag had already gone up on the far side. Free kick for the hosts.
Yeah, real carnage inside Fenerbahçe's 18-yard box. Sangare gets to the first one, and I think for a couple of occasions Milenkovic is offside, but the linesman, as usual, lets the play continue when it just should have been. Flag goes up, he's offside twice, but they let the play finish with the confusion and potential players coming together with injuries and the rest.
It's ridiculous that he didn't flag sooner, because there were probably 3 or 4 passages of play after Milenkovic had originally strayed into an offside position. Ball forward by Edison, one by Olaraina. Hutchinson trying to keep it in play on that far side. It's one back by Koglu, but again, Fenerbahçe aren't really able to keep the ball for too long. Forest hassling and harrying. Asensio on the edge of the centre circle, out to the right-hand side, and Nelson Semedo. They've been stunned, I think, by the intensity that Forest have played with in the opening 28 minutes. Talisker the latest to give the ball away, dispossessed by Nico Williams down by the left corner flag. Now Williams with the opportunity to come forward over the halfway line. Oh, well played N'Golo Conte. Still got that engine on him, but then Guendouzi is dispossessed by Williams. Hudson-Odoi, left corner of the 18-yard box, forward into the area, and then the cross cut back for Gibbs White with a header. couldn't generate enough power. It's a relatively routine save for Ederson.
Brilliant from Nico Williams of Forest again on the break. They're very, very dangerous, and Amari Hutchinson has all the time in the world to just dink one up from the byline, 2 or 3 yards outside the 6-yard box, centre of goal, and you think, can you find the corner, Morgan Gibbs White? And he just has to generate too much power, and it's straight at Ederson in the end. But another massive let-off for Fenerbahçe and a miss from Forest.
Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Murillo with the sensational solo goal that divides these two teams. Over in Bosnia, still Zrinjski 0, Crystal Palace 0, very strong Crystal Palace team. So Oliver Glasner taking no chances in that one. And coming up later here on Talksport 2, we've got Celtic against Stuttgart, the first leg of the Hoops Europa League playoff. If they can play half as well as Forest have in this first half an hour, the home fans will be delighted. Here's Talisca though, midway inside Forest territory. Again, he's closed down immediately by Sangare, and they just can't live with the energy levels of Forest so far. The referee is going to stop play here because a Fenerbahçe player has gone down off the ball. Maybe that in reaction to the anger that came his way from the home side after he didn't stop the earlier attack when Skriniar was down. But again, it isn't a head injury for Talisca.
No, it's that main man again in the centre of midfield. Sangare is breaking up absolutely everything that Fenerbahçe has to offer, and Talisca lets the ball get away from him, and Sangare is just using his physical prowess just to give him a handoff, maybe grazes his right cheek and immediately goes down as if he's been absolutely smashed off the ball.
You are listening to Fenerbahçe against Nottingham Forest in the Europa League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. If they keep playing like this for the rest of the season, Nottingham Forest, you would imagine they'll pick up enough points to survive in the Premier League. Sangare forward to Gibbs White. Sionchuk steps in and wins it back on the edge of the Fenerbahçe penalty area. Then Talisca heads it forward, but once again Sangare there to regain possession for Forest, and Anderson plays it forward to Gibbs White. Little flick over the top, looking for the run of Jesus. Ball bounces kindly into the arms of Ederson, who had a good starting position. He bowls it out to N'Golo Conte, and here's Asensio now over the halfway line into Aktör Koglu. Talisca forward to Sharif. Best spell of play this from Fenerbahçe in the first 31 minutes. Talisca back to Conte on the edge of the area. Thought about the shot, checks back in, and then plays the ball infield to Guendouzi. Now Semedo out to the right hand side, and Aktör Koglu. Can they get across in here? They've got 3 yellow and navy blue shirts in the centre, Fenerbahçe. Forest well camped behind the ball. Semedo back out to Aktör Koglu on the right hand side. Forest is so well organised, they forced Fenerbahçe back into their own half of the field, and then there's a mistake by Sionchuk, and Jesus comes racing forward down the left into Gibbs White. Gibbs White 25 yards out, slides it forward, looking for Hutchinson, and it was a good challenge coming in there from Mulder. The pass from Gibbs White wasn't quite on the money. Mulder with a tackle diverts the ball back to his goalkeeper Ederson. It stays 1-0 Forest.
And we're talking about the start that Forest have made, and that was the blueprint of Nottingham Forest last season. Every single player behind the ball, but when the time was going to break and pressure needed to be put on Fenerbahçe, Igor Jesus led the line brilliantly, won the ball back, and then they're off. It's just then, can you find that bit of quality? And again, Morgan Gibbs White underhits that final pass to Amari Hutchinson, who was almost through on goal, but a real warning sign from Fenerbahçe. And it just shows you, when Forest do defend together as a team, as a unit, they're very, very difficult to play against.
Fenerbahçe have won only one of their last 9 matches against English opposition. That was a victory in this competition against Manchester United back in 2016. They lost already, I've mentioned 1-0 at home to Villa a few weeks ago in the league phase, and they're 1-0 down here, and well, probably fortunate it is only one. So superior have Forest been in the opening 33 minutes. Ball forward to Sharif. Aktör Koglu back out to Sharif on the left-hand side. He's going to try and take on Olerainer and then come infield. Asensio with a clever little ball for Aktör Koglu, but once again Milenkovic was there. It's chipped forward now, looking for Jesus, I think would have been offside. The ball is played out anyway by Oosterwolde.
I think it's credit to Forest, because when Fenerbahçe have tried to build out from the back, Forest have gone high press, they've put two forwards up the pitch, they've put two backs of four behind them, and they're defending on the halfway line. But it's the transition. Once Fenerbahçe do play in behind, it's how quickly there's so many red players behind the ball, and it's brilliant in terms of transition. And then they know on the break, when they play the ball forward, there's lots of space for them with the pace and power that they have and the willingness to run. They're creating so many problems for Fenerbahçe.
Anderson looking for Hudson-Odoi. Important interception by Semedo, but Nico Williams finds Hudson-Odoi in space in the penalty area. Shifts from left to right. Hudson-Odoi then rolls it to Sangare. Sangare into the penalty area. Out to Gibbs-White with a low cross, which is swept clear by Sayuncu, and Talisca up towards Sherif on the halfway line. But again, they give it away. Fenerbahçe, you can hear the frustration from this home crowd in Istanbul. They're fortunate in the end that Olaraina just runs the ball out of play, and it will be a Fenerbahçe throw inside their own half.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about the quality and the superstars that Fenerbahçe seem to have, but it's certainly not been clicking. Some real sloppy mistakes, weight of pass, control, really letting themselves down. But credit to Forest, they're really putting Fenerbahçe every single time they're in possession inside Forest half. There's lots of bodies round the ball.
Talisca into N'Golo Kanté. Kanté out to the left-hand side and Mulder. Kanté back to the halfway line. Sayuncu with the trademark ponytail plays it out to the right, and Semedo flanked by Hudson-Odoi, so comes infield to Sayuncu again. He played 35 minutes as Forest leading 1-0. Guendouzi with the ball slid into the penalty area. Sherif has got Murillo, the goal scorer, for company, but he crosses towards the far post, and that was confident defending by Olaraina, just chesting the ball back for his goalkeeper Ortega, who still hasn't really had a save to make, and Ortega with a volley upfield can only find touch.
Yeah, brilliant again from Forest. Real good, strong defending, and Sherif gets away for the first time for Murillo down this near side, just inside Forest's 18-yard box. Stands the ball up out of nowhere, but Olaraina, and we mentioned how many times and how much he's been missed for this side, just chests one back inside his own 6-yard box into Ortega's arms, and he tries to get Forest on the counter-attack, whereas potentially just take the sting out of it. Fenerbahçe starting to have a little bit more possession, but credit to Forest so far, handle things brilliantly.
9 minutes the first half to play. Fenerbahçe 0, Forest 1. The winners of this playoff will take on either Real Betis or Midtjylland in the round of 16. Two teams that Forest have already played in the league phase, lost at home to Midtjylland under Ange Postecoglou. So maybe an opportunity to exact some revenge if that is how the draw goes. Ball punted upfield meanwhile by Ortega, and Sayuncu lets that bounce on the edge of his own area before sticking out a right boot and just stabbing it clear for a throw. Got to say they look a lot weaker in the half of defence since Sayuncu had to come on for Skriniar, the captain. And there's a foul by N'Golo Kanté. And goes Callum Hudson-Odoi 25 yards out, and this will be a free kick within shooting range for Vitor Pereira's side.
Yeah, you can really feel that frustration sucking in now to the stadium, and N'Golo Kanté again caught the wrong side of Hudson-Odoi, diving in. No real need to make a challenge, but free kick for Forest 35 yards from goal, and they just are doing everything right at the moment in terms of taking the sting out of the ball, and when they're in the attacking phase against Fenerbahçe, they're using the ball brilliantly, drawing fouls, getting corners, just taking the sting out of the game as and when they need to, but they're certainly pushing for this next goal.
1-0 Forest lead here, 0-0 between Zrinjski and Crystal Palace in the Conference League playoff first leg. Free kick here that I think Anderson is showing more than a little bit of interest in. He rolls his stud over it and then plays it for Nico Williams, shoots it, deflects off Gibbs-White, and that was a chance for Igor Jesus. He lifts his effort over the bar from 6 yards out. I think probably he would have been deemed offside, but we'll never know. I'm watching a replay now. Williams with a shot, Gibbs-White is onside. He might have been all right, you know, Jesus, and should have done better with the effort.
It was probably one of the most bizarre set-piece routines I've seen. Elliot Anderson just rolls the ball to the right of Nico Williams, who tries to then have a side-foot shot from 35 yards, which hits the back of his teammate, and they nearly get a double ricochet to take a 2-goal lead.
I think it hit Gibbs-White on the backside. Here's Hudson-Odoi, edge of the penalty area, curling effort, right-footed, deflected, and deflected behind for another Nottingham Forest corner. Their 6th of the game.
Here again, Nottingham Forest get hold of the ball, use it well. They've always got the extra man at the moment, especially on the outside. Callum Hudson-Odoi, we know he wants to come in on his right, and he certainly did that there, but Nico Williams goes on the overlap, creates that space for him, and it ends up being 1v1 against Guendouzi, who doesn't really want to be defending against Hudson-Odoi in that area, but another corner to Forest.
Yeah, corner with 7 minutes the first half to play. Forest a goal to the good. Amari Hutchinson in the white footwear will whip this in from the right-hand side towards Mario. Edison punches clear to the edge of the area. Hudson-Odoi with a shot back in that's blocked, and Elliot Anderson winning it back now for Nottingham Forest. He's been put under pressure and he's given it away to Sherif. Sherif bursting down the right, heavy touch into the area. And that just allows Nottingham Forest and Olorina to win it back. Elliot Anderson for a moment has been shown a clean pair of heels. Here's Talisca out to N'Golo Conte in the right wing position, level with the visiting penalty area. Talisca gets a shot away, left-footed. Did it hit the arm of Murillo? Well, Talisca thought so. Referee at the moment is unmoved, and Nottingham Forest and Sangare able to regain possession inside their own penalty area. I wonder if Fenerbahçe have got more of a case there than Forest had at the other end.
Yeah, you certainly hear the volume, and the roof came off the stadium, and they're still whistling. They're all appealing to the referee, arms in the air, every single Fenerbahçe player. And I think just going off Murillo's reaction, immediately glanced at the referee, waved his hand away. It did look like it was just above.
Well, the referee has stopped the play, and he's pointing to the earpiece. And I wonder if that indicates that there is a penalty check here. We're going to see a replay now. Talisca with a shot. It hits the left arm of Murillo. It certainly is lower down than the one at the other end. Again, the question would be, is his body in an unnatural position? I don't think so in the Premier League, but in Europe, Forest may have a problem.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of them. It hits him below. I thought initially it hit him above the arm of the sleeve, but it almost hits him on the bicep, in the middle of his sort of elbow. But the arm is right next to his body. He's not making himself bigger. It's a very difficult one.
It would be a very harsh decision if this were given. All I would say is, in terms of distance, there could be an argument that he's far enough away from the ball. But the check is over, and the referee says no penalty. And he's also going to administer a yellow card to one of the Fenerbahçe coaches. I wonder if Forest might feel they've got away with one there. I'm going to watch it again. I don't think it's a penalty, but I've certainly seen them given in the Europa League and the Champions League.
I've certainly seen them given, and I think you can say from a Forest perspective it's not a penalty, but from a Fenerbahçe perspective they'll be absolutely furious. But it's probably more in hope than really being honest that it is a penalty, and it's one of them. I don't think he can get out of the way of it. But yeah, real laugh for Forest, and you are sort of head in hands moment when the referee waves to the touchline for that screen.
And now, to add insult to injury, he has given a handball against Olorina on the halfway line. I think in fairness both his arms were above his head. Pretty easy decision for the referee. 1-0 Forest, 3.5 minutes of this first half to play. First half that couldn't have gone much better as far as Vitor Pereira, his first game as Forest manager, is concerned. And if this is the blueprint for the rest of the season, easy for me to say, then they should surely steer themselves to safety in the Premier League. Here's Hutchinson with a cross out to Williams on the edge of the area, right-footed effort. Again, it deflects, and it's going to go behind for the latest Forest corner.
Forest are playing with so much energy and aggression, and the way they get bodies forward when they win the ball back. And again, it's that man, Amari Hutchinson. He's almost bringing 3 Fenerbahçe defenders against him. A little drop of the shoulder, step over, cross comes in, picks Nico Williams up on the edge of the D of the 18-yard box, who is the left back, mind you. Brilliant. Sort of 6 bodies in the box, again, trying to get that second goal.
And that's why they paid the £37.5 million for Amari Hutchinson. Looked a good signing at the time, hasn't so far worked out that way, but certainly he is having one of his better nights in Garibaldi red. Corner whipped in by Elliot Anderson, flicked on by Morgan Gibbs-White, and then headed home on the goal line by Igor Jesus. Yet another European goal for the Brazilian, and Nottingham Forest double their lead. Double delight for those travelling supporters. right on half-time almost. It is Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 2. Dream start for Vitor Pereira.
And what is that? The 7th or 8th corner that Forest had in this opening 45 minutes. But a brilliant delivery from Elliot Anderson. Morgan Gibbs-White is out-muscles Semedo just in front of the near post. Flicks it on, away from goal, when it's Igor Jesus on his own in 3 or 4 yards of space, almost on the goal line with his right hand on the back post, leaps and heads it into the roof of the net. But what a response again from Forest after that worry of a potential penalty, and it's been an absolute masterclass of an opening 45 from an away side in European football.
Yeah, 7 in 7 during this European adventure for Igor Jesus, his 12th goal of the season. And even at this early stage, Luke Chambers, surely Nottingham Forest are heading for a first leg victory.
They've just absolutely looked a level above in every department, when they're defending as a group, when they're attacking, the pace they're breaking, the pressure they're putting on Fenerbahçe when they're trying to build any possession. And if they can keep this up for the next 25 minutes of the second half, it's going to be home and hosed, and what an opportunity going into that second half.
Good news for Crystal Palace as well. They lead by 1-0 over in Bosnia against Zrinjski. Ismail Assar, who again has tended to save his best form for Europe this season, has scored the goal. So Palace a goal to the good, and Nottingham Forest 2 up in Istanbul. And what a start at the moment for Vitor Pereira. It's been a performance full of energy, full of endeavour, full of quality as well from Nottingham Forest. A far cry, arguably, from what those travelling fans have witnessed for most of the season under their various different bosses. Here's Hudson-Odoi. Going to get even better for Forest before half-time. He's got men forward here inside the penalty area. Hudson-Odoi forward to Elliot Anderson. He cuts the cross back. It's cleared by Conte as we move into 2 added minutes at the end of the first 45. Fenerbahçe is stunned in their own backyard. Gibbs-White with a shot from distance, skips right in front of the goalkeeper and bounces wide for a goal kick.
Yeah, good pressure again from Forest. And Fenerbahçe just do not know what to do. There's too many red shirts around inside their own half, and it's Murillo again who wins the ball back brilliantly. 40 yards outside Fenerbahçe's goal, uses it well, gives it into Morgan Gibbs-White, who just keeps drifting into those number 10 roles off the right to left, the 2 centre-halves, and has a touch, drills one towards the bottom corner, and it looked like Ederson was beaten, just drifted past that far post.
Fenerbahçe yet to have a shot on target in this first half. That's how dominant Nottingham Forest have been, and we mentioned the hostile atmosphere. The only voices you can hear at the moment are those of the travelling Midlanders as we're into the final minute of this 2 minutes added on at the end of the first period. Forest leading by 2-0, and good value for that lead. Here's Sangare turning away from trouble on the halfway line, out to Oleraina down the Forest right. Good run by Hutchinson, plays it through the legs of Mulder, into the penalty area he goes, Hutchinson, and then he got underneath the cross, and it's behind for a goal kick, and that probably, Luke Chambers, will be the last meaningful action of the half.
Yeah, but again, he's been absolutely fantastic, Omari Hutchinson, and what a real vote of confidence for him to be picked in this side in Vitor Pereira's first game. I think he's just needed that little bit of a break, and when he has that freedom, he's nutmegged again Mulder out down this, and I'd be very surprised to see him come out for the second half with how easy it's been for Omari Hutchinson to create chances for Forest. But to a man, they've been absolutely fantastic.
Well, there is the half-time whistle. What an opening 45 minutes to Vitor Pereira's Nottingham Forest career. They have absolutely dominated here against the Fenerbahçe side, who've only lost twice at home all season. Murillo with a brilliant opening goal on 21 minutes. He picked up the ball inside the centre circle and he ran all the way to the edge of the penalty area before unleashing a fine low shot that kissed the inside of the post and nestled into the back of the net. And Igor Jesus with a far simpler goal from a corner, couldn't miss from a yard out with a header. But Forest man for the Europa League, extending his fine goal-scoring streak in the competition. And, well, Luke Chambers, I don't think Vitor Pereira could have asked of any more of his side.
I don't think he'll believe his luck. This group of players have underperformed throughout the season, and they have, every single player, from the 11 tonight have absolutely pulled it out of the bag, and the way they've attacked, the way they've used the ball, the way they've handled the atmosphere in such a difficult place has been absolutely tremendous, and shows you, if they continue, like you said, if they can deliver this from now to the end of the season, they'll have a massive chance of staying in the Premier League. 13
attempts for Forest to Fenerbahçe's 2. The home side yet to ask any serious questions of Stefan Ortega on his European debut for the club, and that gives you a small picture of just how dominant Forest have been.
Yeah, it's been... what a performance inside that first. Regardless of my affiliation to Forest, if you're watching them as a neutral, you're thinking these are one of the top sides in the competition this year, and it's been a real complete performance. And you just hope now, as this group of players maybe have done in the past, took their eye off the ball, do they drop their intensity? Do they think the job is done? And it's really important now as a group of players that, yes, you say all the right things in the dressing room, but you have to come out and perform the way you've done in that first half again.
And you wonder if he may even be in a position here, Vitor Pereira, to start resting players in the second half of that game against Liverpool on Sunday. We shall see. Half-time in Bosnia, by the way, in the first leg of that Conference League playoff. It is Zrinjski 0, Crystal Palace 1. Ismail Assar with the goal there, but strikes from Murillo. I can't tell you, for those of you who've not seen it, just how good a run and finish it was from the big Brazilian centre-back. And Igor Jesus with a header 2 minutes before half-time have put Forest in cruise control in Istanbul. Half-time, it is Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 2.
Europa League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Hello, Mike's Mechanics. How can we help?
Can you tell me what's wrong with my car? It's making a noise.
Right, and is that when you brake or accelerate?
So when I brake, it's more of a... and when I accelerate, it's more of a... If you get me?
Right.
Customers can be hard work. Switching your bank account won't be. We'll automatically move your regular payments over when you switch with the Current Account Switch service.
Turn ordinary into the extraordinary every day with the Lexus LBX. Whilst most SUVs are big and brash, the LBX is quietly bold and confident. Refined luxury crafted into a compact SUV. The Lexus LBX, What Car's Best Small SUV 2024 and 2025.
All right, resistance up. Let's climb.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, my knee's playing up again.
Have you ever had it looked at?
No, but I've been doing a few stretches.
When my shoulder went, Benenden Health got me expert help. Showed me exactly where I was going wrong.
30 seconds, people.
Press play on your health with physiotherapy and much more. All for less than £16 per person per month. Search Benenden Health. Fee reviewed periodically. T's and C's apply. Qualifying periods apply for some services, including physio. UK only. Visit benenden.co.uk.
Idle pocket money sits in a piggy bank, rolling its eyes and twiddling its thumbs. Bored stiff. But if you open a free Monzo Kids account, your child's pocket money is always busy. It earns interest in a savings pot and teaches them how to save for a future where they don't need to ask you for cash. Monzo, the bank that gets your money moving. For children aged 6 to 15, parent or guardian account needed first. UK residents only. T's and C's apply.
Dearest listeners, rumour has it that Sky and Netflix are waltzing side by side. So society may delight in the romance of season 4 of Bridgerton on Netflix, then discover long-buried secrets in Undersalt Marsh on Sky. Get Sky and Netflix together for the handsome price of £15 a month. Sky. Believe in better.
Prices may change during new 24-month term. £21 a month after. Requires Sky Stream and broadband minimum speed 25 megabits per second. 18 plus terms apply.
Stop. Listen. Chicken. The 10 mini fillet bucket. $7.99. 10 succulent mini fillets. Buy. Eat. Digest. Good. Repeat. Get the deal. Believe in chicken.
KFC.
Until 22nd of March. Subject to availability. Participating restaurants only. Excludes delivery. Full T's and C's at kfc.co.uk.
Talksport 2 is your dynamic destination for all the latest sporting action. Featuring live commentary of all the biggest events, including football, PGA golf, horse racing, Premiership rugby, cricket, boxing, and all the big-hitting drama of the NFL.
Touchdown!
Plus, Plus, Talksport 2's official betting partner, William Hill, is always on hand with the insight and in-depth analysis you need. Talksport 2 with official betting partner, William Hill. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Talksport 2. Traffic and travel.
Keys around Warwickshire, heading into Henley and Arden as a section of the Birmingham Road. The A3400 is currently blocked by an accident at Rose Avenue. And long delays now in Essex, as you north on the A12, that's blocked by an accident in junction 16 for Galley Wood and junction 17 for Howell Green. Queues anti-clockwise on the M25 towards a broken down vehicle, closing a lane just after junction 25 for Enfield. And so length of queues in Surrey, heading into Guildford this evening as the A3 remains closed southbound by an accident earlier between Thursley and Liphook.
PGA Tour, the Genesis Invitational, live on Talksport 2. Tonight from 10, as the world's golfing elite go head-to-head at the Riviera Country Club, hear full swing-by, pitch-by-putt commentary of all the action direct from California. PGA Tour, the Genesis Invitational, tonight from 10, live on Talksport 2.
Established and excellent evening star of football. Kick-off live on Talksport 2.
Rio bursting forward now. He's made his way to the edge of the opposing penalty area, and he is let fly left-footed from 20 yards out, and Murillo has scored the first goal of the Vitor Pereira era.
Absolutely incredible finish. It looks like it's one of their main attacking players, but it's not. It's Murillo.
Whipped in by Elliot Anderson, flicked on by Morgan Gibbs-White, and then headed home on the goal line by Igor Jesus. Yet another European goal for the Brazilian, and Nottingham Forest double their lead. Double delight for those travelling supporters. Right on half-time almost. It is Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 2. Dream start for Vitor Pereira. Yes, dream start indeed for the new Nottingham Forest manager. His side 2 goals to the good at half-time. And it's 2 Brazilians, Murillo and Jesus, who've scored them. Second half commentary to come from Istanbul. Crystal Palace, meanwhile, lead by a goal to 0 over in Bosnia against Zrinjski in the first leg of their Conference League playoff. And the live football on Talksport 2 continues. Straight after we're done here, we've got more Europa League action as Celtic welcome Stuttgart in the first leg of their playoff clash. So let's now, for the first time this evening, join our commentary team, who'll be bringing you all the action, as alongside the former Scotland striker Chris Iwelumo is your match commentator Ian Danter. Very good evening, guys.
Evening to you, Alex. It is another potentially wonderful European night in store at Parkhead. Chris, big Celtic fan, is alongside me. Well, we should do full disclosure straight away, Chris. This nights like this mean a lot to you. You've never played for the club, but you love the place. How much serious chance do you give them against a Stuttgart side who are 4th in the Bundesliga, pushing for Champions League football and are full of goals?
No, you're spot on. You know, it is going to be a very difficult task. You know, I think you look at that Stuttgart side. You know, I think it is progression. They finished 11th last season. They're sitting 4th. They're doing well in the final, the quarters of the German Cup as well. But then you're looking at it away from home in the league stages. You know, only 1-1 defeats as well there. So it's important that Celtic try and have to capitalise on that. Celtic Park under the lights, the atmosphere, European night. It will be absolutely unbelievable. And Martin O'Neill, stewardship, you know, he allows the players to go out and express themselves, gives them that freedom. You know, he gives them a game plan, and it's a blueprint to fall back on. They have to go out there, they have to solve the problems, they have to filter off the fans, buy into that and get that energy. But that's what's expected. They're the non-negotiables.
And the problems that Celtic have had of late, they've solved with very, very late goals. Yes. You think at Kilmarnock on Sunday afternoon on the 4G pitch, where Araujo scores beyond stoppage time for 3 points. Maybe it's just something about what Martin O'Neill brings.
Well, you know me, how many years have we worked together? Yeah. You know I'm a half glass, so it's like 2-0 down after 28 minutes. They come back and they win 3. In the last 3 games they've scored that decisive goal in injury time. It's massive. That's character down to the players, you know, taking responsibility, getting over the line, doing whatever it takes to get that result. And I think that comes down to the manager as well.
Key players for Celtic for you tonight? Is there any individuals that stand out that if they perform well, Celtic do have a chance of taking something to Stuttgart next week?
Yeah, well, you're looking at the new signings. I think they've all been registered, and I think that's Junior Adamu, Julian Araujo as well, Thomas Vankara. These players can come in and make a positive impact. For me, a player that I know, played with for Scotland, Callum McGregor, so decisive, isn't he? So influential, gets on the ball, makes things happen. It's important that players have to step up. There's Maida up top. There's so many players that can influence any game.
And Martin O'Neill, we shouldn't forget, joins a very exclusive club this evening, Chris. 1,000 games in professional management. It
is a fantastic achievement, isn't it? A fantastic man. I think has respect around the game. But what he's delivered. He's delivered more often than not, and I'm delighted he's back in the seat.
Alex, I get the feeling we'll have goals in this game tonight. Both teams have scored in 6 of Celtic's last 8 European games, and Stuttgart do know the way to the back of the net. A guy you'll know, Dennis Undav. Didn't work for him at Brighton, certainly working for him at Stuttgart. He could be one of the main threats tonight. We're live straight after you for Celtic against Stuttgart, 8 p.m. kickoff at Parkhead.
Yeah, and interestingly, people at Brighton tell me they made a mistake by letting Dennis Undav go, particularly as they're struggling for goals themselves. Thanks very much, Dance and Chris Uellemu standing by to bring you commentary from Parkhead after we've brought you the second half of Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 2. And of course, every Sunday evening on Talksport we bring you a whistle-stop tour around all the big European football stories on Trans-Euro Express with Danny Kelly and Andy Brassel. This was Andy's verdict on the task at hand for Celtic this evening.
I think it suits Celtic very well to play the first game at Celtic Park, because they've got the opportunity to make it difficult for Stuttgart from the off. Stuttgart are very, very strong at home. So to be able to potentially go to Swabia with something, I think is really important. But look, we've heard a lot of talk about Stuttgart this week because of their coach, Sebastian Hoeneß, who is, I think, some people's dream candidate for the Tottenham job. I understand why. I think you could make an argument, with all due respect to Vincent Kompany, that Sebastian Hoeneß is the best coach in Germany at the moment. He's great. And his teams play really aggressive attacking football. Now, particularly at the moment, bear in mind they lost Nick Woltemade last summer. You go back before that and they lose Seydou Guirassy. They've lost some incredible players. The Stuttgart team you could make up of the players they've sold in the last 3 or 4 years is something. But at the moment, they've got Emedin Demirovic, who's leading the line very well. Just behind him, Dennis Undav, Jamie Leveling on one side, who's been the subject of a lot of Premier League interest, and Chris Furyk on the other. That's one heck of a front four. I think it's going to be super hard for Celtic. Player for player, Stuttgart are a lot better than them. And you have to say, despite recent improvements and the work of Danny Roll and Martin O'Neill, which you have to respect, these are not vintage Celtic and Rangers sides by any stretch of the imagination. Celtic will find this hard.
Andy Brassel there looking ahead to Celtic against Stuttgart. Stuttgart's live on Talksport 2 after we're finished in Istanbul. You're listening to the Europa League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it, book Europa at enterprise.co.uk. And a reminder of the rest of our live commentaries coming your way over the next few nights. Blackburn against Preston from the Championship, an 8 o'clock kick-off on Talksport 2 tomorrow evening. It's 12:30 here on Talksport 2. We've got West Brom against Coventry, a Midlands derby from the Championship. Big win for Coventry at home to Middlesbrough. We brought you that on Talksport 2 earlier this week. 3 o'clock it's Wrexham against Ipswich, two sides very much in the promotion shake-up. At 8 o'clock on Talksport, live and exclusive Premier League commentary as Manchester City host Newcastle. On Sunday, we've got the Steel City derby. Sheffield United could relegate Sheffield Wednesday to League One. That's a midday kick-off on Talksport 2. And on Monday night, Everton against Manchester United, live and exclusive from the Premier League. That is an 8 o'clock kick-off. We are going to see some changes, unsurprisingly, for Fenerbahçe in this second half. The home side trailing by 2-0. I guess Dominique Tedesco felt obliged to make a change. Kerim Aktürkoğlu, who's got 9 goals in 4 Europa League games, is making way. And coming on is Dorgeles Nene. I did think actually in that first half, Luke Chambers, that he gave the ball away an awful lot. Actor Cogley wasn't the only one in yellow and blue, but certainly was one of the bigger culprits. And also Mert Mulder, as you predicted, the left back who's been terrorised, is making way. And coming on to replace Mulder at left back is Levent Merkan. He'll be relieved, won't he, Mulder, not to have to face a Murray Hutchinson in the second half.
Yeah, never nice when you get taken off at half-time, but I think it's needs must for Fenerbahçe at the moment, and we've mentioned how much threat they carry at the top end of the pitch, but Talisca, Aktakoglu, Sharif, Asensio, have we even seen him touch the ball in the first half? So it could have been any of them.
We are back underway, and straight away Fenerbahçe on the attack. Oh, that's a brilliant save by Ortega as the ball was scooped over the top for the run of Sharif. He met it on the right-footed half volley and acrobatically turned behind for a corner by Ortega. Was he just offside, or was Olareina playing him on?
It certainly looked like it was a potential offside, but a real warning sign for Forest early on. Just one simple ball over the top. Murillo caught cold, and Sharif, we know how fast and aggressive he can be with his pace, but it's one of those where he didn't have to think too much about it, just inside the 18-yard box, and just volleys one straight at Ortega.
Fenerbahçe have a corner inside the first 50 seconds of the second half. 2-0 Forest. Fenerbahçe in navy and yellow jerseys, navy shorts and socks, shooting from right to left in this second period. Forest all in red, attacking the goal away to our right. Corner taken short and then played into the penalty area, but it'll be cleared away by Nico Williams, the left back for Forest. The visitors unchanged, unsurprisingly, from the first half. So Ortega in goal, Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Nico Williams the back four, Sangare and Anderson in front of them, Hutchinson, Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi behind Jesus up front for Fenerbahçe. It's now Edison in goal, Semedo, Oosterwolde, Sionchu, Merlan the back four, Conte, Asensio, Guendouzi in midfield, and then Nene, Sharif and Talisca up top. So Fenerbahçe have used 3 of their 5 subs already. We're only 2 minutes into the second half. Forest leading by 2-0. Guendouzi forward out to this left-hand side to Merkan. Sharif, who has been the liveliest of the Fenerbahçe attackers, picks it up down by the left corner flag. Nene looking to make an immediate impact. But one back by Sangare, a real warrior in midfield for Forest tonight, and then he's passed it straight to N'Golo Conte. Here's Asensio, goal back for Fenerbahçe, and suddenly the mood inside this place will change on its head almost. Guendouzi out to the right-hand side, Semedo with a chance to cross into the area, over the head of almost everybody, and then flying in at the far post was Nene, and he just caught Olareina. It's going to be a free kick for Forest inside their own penalty area. It stays 2-0 to the visitors.
Yeah, real aggressive start from Fenerbahçe. 4 bodies inside the 6-yard box almost. The delivery comes in from Semedo, but fantastic defending from Olareina. Ducking low at the back post, stooping just to get his head in the way of Nene to head the ball clear, and as he comes in with his left boot, catches Aina on the side of the head, but real brave defending from Forest, and that is what's going to be the requirement as it looks like inside this next 45 minutes.
This game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. It is Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 2. Fenerbahçe can be expected to pile bodies forward in this second half to try and get back in the game. That might afford Forest chances on the counter-attack as Nico Williams is swept off his feet by Talisca. Forest, the 2 times champions of Europe, looking to go deep in this Europa League, and they are well on course for a place in the round of 16. Of course, the second leg at the City Ground will be live on Talksport next Thursday night. If they go there with a 2-goal lead, you would certainly fancy the men from the Trent to get the job done. Maybe it'll be a bigger lead than that, because the ball is forward to Igor Jesus, and Edison comes a long way off his goal line and clears away right-footed. Backtracking now the ex-Manchester City man as Hudson-Odoi comes forward on the left. Taking on Semedo into the penalty area, cuts it gap for Gibbs-White with a shot straight at the goalkeeper. He spilt it, but he gets there ahead of Hutchinson. Should Gibbs-White have done better?
Oh, it's a difficult chance. I think it's really good play from Callum Hudson-Odoi. Just stands up Semedo And Morgan Gibbs-White just holds his position as 3 other Forest players are on the 6-yard box, just holds it on the edge of the 18-yard box. The cutback comes in, and I think it's just a little bit overhit, and he's sort of hit it on the stretch. He's got good connection on it, but it just goes directly at Ederson, and fortunately for Fenerbahçe, it just drops back into his hands. But warning signs for Fenerbahçe, because they are going to commit bodies forward, like you said, and that counter-attack, and when they do commit bodies forward, it's going to be difficult.
Well, they're forward it again here. Forest. Jesus has beaten the offside trap. He cuts it back for Morgan Gibbs-White, who scores from 12 yards out. Fenerbahçe players desperate for an offside decision that never came, and the captain, Morgan Gibbs-White, surely has put the cloth on a glory night in Europe for Nottingham Forest. It was a routine ball over the top. Gibbs-White and Jesus seemingly managed to stay onside, and the skipper, with a captain's goal, makes it 3-0 Forest. He was definitely onside. And what an incredible evening this is turning out to be. Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 3.
And for all the world, it looked like both of them were offside, but we've seen the replay. They've both held their run brilliantly, and it's shocking defending from Fenerbahçe. They just stood and watched. No one recovered, and credit Igor Jesus, who just rolls the ball across to Morgan Gibbs-White along the penalty spot, who actually falls over. But I think there is a little bit of a check. Maybe the ball from Igor Jesus is Morgan Gibbs-White just in front of him as he plays it across.
Well, certainly, as they went through initially, Gibbs-White looked to have been played onside by Jesus by Oosterwolde. I think he's played it behind Gibbs-White, and actually Gibbs-White was off balance as he then managed to sweep home from the penalty spot. And Tedesco absolutely convinced, so are most of his players. There is a check here. I mean, this is a massive moment, not just tonight, but in the tie in general. If Forest have a 3-goal lead next week, you can't make any case for Fenerbahçe turning it around.
No, certainly not at the City Ground. It's a long check, and I think on the replay that we've just seen, I think he's going to give the goal, and yes,
the goal stands. A roar of delight from those travelling Forest supporters, because 7 minutes into the second half, they had the third. Morgan Gibbs-White with his 8th of the season, his 2nd in Europe. And what a performance to kickstart the Vitor Pereira reign and kickstart what those Nottingham Forest fans hope will be a road to Premier League salvation, and who knows, maybe European glory as well.
It was just all so easy again, though, wasn't it? I think Fenerbahçe has set out all guns blazing to just go all-out attack, but a simple lift over the back 4 from Amari Hutchinson, and you've got not one but 2 players through on goal, and then it just kills the tie completely. And credit to Forest for committing and keeping going and committing those bodies forward, and they've executed the game plan brilliantly.
Reiner winning possession on the edge of his penalty area away to our left. Forest leading by 3-0. Palace still 1 up against Zrinjski away from home in Bosnia in their Conference League playoff first leg. They've been absolutely terrific, Nottingham Forest, and they're attacking again here. Ball swept into Hudson-Odoi, who shoots right-footed from the edge of the area over the crossbar after a brilliant pass from Amari Hutchinson, who arguably is having his best game in a Forest shirt.
Absolutely, I think every single player, especially in that front 4 tonight, has been remarkable, and Fenerbahçe just haven't got an answer to them. But the only thing I can really criticise Fenerbahçe on is they're just leaving their back 4 against the 4.
Hudson-Odoi has won it back from Talisca on the edge of the Fenerbahçe penalty area. They'll be thinking now, these Forest players, with still well over half an hour to play, we might get this tie over and done with tonight. We might do what Newcastle did on Talksport 2 last night against Karabag and win handsomely enough that you can really rotate players for the second leg.
Well, they're certainly continuing to play with that intention, committing bodies forward. I think they just know physically they're better.
Gibbs-White forward to Jesus inside the penalty area, could have got it back for his captain, delayed the pass, and won back by the overworked Nelson Semedo. Here's Nene, the half-time substitute for Fenerbahçe. Equalising goal in Bosnia. Zrinjski 1, Crystal Palace 1 in that Conference League playoff first leg. So Palace not having it all their own way. Nottingham Forest certainly are in Istanbul. They lead by 3-0. We've played 10 minutes in the second half. Goals in the first period from Murillo and Jesus, the two Brazilians, then Gibbs White, the captain. And they're in space again here. Hutchinson down by the left corner flag. Jesus has made a run into the centre. He plays it back to the edge of the area. Nico Williams thought about the shot. Sangare does shoot, deflects, and that takes the sting out of it from long range, and it's collected on the edge of the 6-yard box by Ederson.
Yeah, that certainly would have put the cherry on top. Sangare shooting from 40 yards first time when he's their defensive midfield player. But I just think that shows the confidence that this Forest side seem to be playing with tonight. It just seems like they've had a weight lifted off their shoulders, and they're just playing with so much confidence, springing their step, really believing in what they're trying to do. And whether that's the messages they've received from Vitor Pereira, that can only be the impression that I've been given. They've certainly pressed high, put Fenerbahçe under so much pressure that they just cannot handle it.
And this against the team in Fenerbahçe, whose only defeat in their last 11 in all competitions was that 1-0 reverse here against Villa in the league phase. I should caveat that, say 4 of their 5 defeats this term have come in Europe. And they are 3-0 down. And the only noise being made inside the stadium is from those in the away end. It's a brilliant trip Istanbul for a travelling fan. And they will certainly be enjoying this one long into the evening, unless Fenerbahçe can stage what would be a miracle recovery. Nene scoops the ball forward to Asensio, keeps it in play on the left hand side. Asensio with the ball into the area, met by Talisca, well defended by Nico Williams making the block. The ball collected now inside the 18-yard box by Ortega, who's having a much easier European debut for Forest than maybe he would have anticipated coming away from home to Istanbul.
Yeah, what is it, the one save he's made, and every time he's been called upon, even with the ball at his feet, his selection, the way he's relieved pressure, playing over the top for the long balls. But Forest, just every time they play the ball forward, there's a threat for them.
Olorino looking for the run of Jesus, out-muscled by Sayuncu, and the ball bowled out quickly by Ederson, the Fenerbahçe keeper. 11 clean sheets in his last 26 appearances this season. He's not going to keep one tonight. Already picked the ball out of the net 3 times.
I think now is it the time that Vitor Pereira starts to make decisions based on the weekend's match, with this one certainly looking like it's out of sight for Fenerbahçe. Can he start to look at and plan for that one at the weekend?
Well, Sangare's had his pocket picked by N'Golo Kanté on the edge of the Forest area, but Elliot Anderson helping out his teammate. It's a good partnership that in midfield, isn't it? Sangare and Anderson. I mean, certainly when you look at this Forest team tonight, there is enough quality, isn't there? They shouldn't be looking nervously over their shoulders towards that bottom 3.
I think if they had any doubt themselves as players, and maybe some of the stuff that's weighing on them this season, this performance alone should give them enough belief that they can compete, because they're not beating a poor side here. They're beating a team that's second in the division in their league. They've won a hell of a lot of games recently, so credit has to go to Forest in the way they've performed tonight.
It does show again, though, doesn't it, the gap in quality between the Premier League and many of the other European leagues. Look what Newcastle did against Qarabag last night. Qarabag no mugs at home, but they were made to look like it by Eddie Howe's side. Obviously in the Champions League we were dominant in the league phase anyway, with 5 of those 6 English teams finishing in the top 8. Aston Villa the favourites for the Europa League. Forest won't be too far behind them in the betting after tonight. Crystal Palace really shouldn't have to deal with the playoff. It was only poor selections from Oliver Glasner in the league phase that put them in this situation, but they are being held 1-1 over in Bosnia against Zrinjski. But if they are kept to par, you could easily see Forest and Villa going all the way in this competition, particularly if Vitor Pereira can keep getting this type of performance out of his players. 59 gone, 3-0 up away from home. Nene inside the centre circle for Fenerbahçe. Now Guendouzi comes forward into the Forest half. Flicked on by Nene to N'Golo Kanté. Forward to Asensio. It's all just a bit too intricate from Fenerbahçe. Not sure they're quite good enough to play that type of football against this calibre of opposition. Maybe need to think about being a bit more direct.
I think that's the only real option at the moment, because Forest are covering ground so well, and the passing lanes that are leaving open for Fenerbahçe, they're just not allowing them to play in any sort of space that would cause any concern for Forest. They've got so many players behind the ball. The work rate's fantastic. No one's dropping any runners. They're still trying to get pressure on high as a front two.
Here's Oosterwolde. He was the man playing Gibbs White and Jesus onside for that third Forest goal. He comes forward looking to make amends. An hour gone, 3-0 down Fenerbahçe. Here's Talisca. Rolls the ball into the left-hand side as we look. Mercan. Now Asensio on the edge of the penalty area. Up to Semedo. That cross is over here. But he sums up the Fenerbahçe performance. It goes all the way out for a throw-in on this near side.
And that just shows you the lack of quality and the calmness that Fenerbahçe have had tonight. 6 defensive players against 2 Fenerbahçe players in that attacking phase.
Here come the Forest changes. On the 60-minute mark, Lorenzo Luca replaces Igor Jesus, scorer of that second goal a couple of minutes before half-time, heading in from a yard out. His 7th European goal of the season, Jesus. Lorenzo Luca, the January signing, is going to get a taste of the action. That's part of a double Nottingham Forest substitution. We're also going to see Dan and Doy for Amari Hutchinson, which suggests he's done enough to play his way into the starting 11 against Liverpool at the weekend.
He's been absolutely fantastic. Probably the best player by a mile. The influence he's had on this game to create chances, to relieve pressure on his side, and even defensively. Real impressive performance from him, and I think that's what they'd hoped from him from the beginning of the season when he was signed from Ipswich.
And Doy's another one of those who they signed in the summer that hasn't really delivered so far. 2 goals in 28 games following a £34 million move from Bologna, but he's got half an hour to show his new manager what he can do as Murillo gives it away on the edge of his own penalty area. One back by Ndoye, and then it should be sent clear by Murillo with the ball forward, looking for a huge figure of Lorenzo Luca. So Enchu has to knock it back to his goalkeeper Ederson. 3-0 Forest lead. Fenerbahçe made a change during that little stopping play as well. Ismail Yüksek coming on. Player who started at the weekend. A 3-2 win against Trabzonspor. I'll tell you what, if it finishes 3-2 here, Fenerbahçe might settle for that with 28 minutes to go and at least keep the tie alive ahead of their trip to the City Ground next week.
Yeah, I think they've just got to try and make sure they try and get that next goal, at least one this evening. But Forest just don't look like they're giving them any space, any real encouragement whatsoever. The shape's fantastic. Even Elliot Anderson just still dictating where the ball is being played across Forest's midfield. Just a real disciplined performance now, and it's certainly not where you want to be playing against Nottingham Forest, because we know how defensively solid they can be out of possession. They're certainly showing that here.
It's interesting, they've taken off Talisca for Yüksek. I was expecting big things of the Brazilian tonight. 4 goals in his last 3 games, 21 in total this season. Didn't really get a kick, did he? Credit to Forest for that. As Nene is dispossessed by Aina, and a chance straight away for Ndoye to knock the ball away from Guendouzi and sprint over the halfway line. He's got Luca crying out for a cross in the centre, tries to go low to the edge of the area and gives right, and that enables Fenerbahçe to momentarily get it clear. Sangare hassling and harrying, forces the mistake from Nene, and then it's picked up by Elliot Anderson on the edge of the centre circle. Fenerbahçe 0, Forest 3 on Talksport 2. Here's Hudson-Odoi looking maybe to carve a fourth. He's into the penalty area, cuts it back for Anderson. Anderson thought about playing the ball into the area, just rolls it out to his left, and Hudson-Odoi, good game management this from Forest. They just tried to see out the final 27 minutes. Here's Nico Williams into the area. Now Anderson again. Hudson-Odoi plays it back to the halfway line. Chance for Milenkovic to get a feel of the ball. Well, ace from the Forest fans, and now passing it around well here. Anderson into Sangare, but back inside his own half. Sangare with time to look up and then just plays it back into midfield. Anderson with the first time pass for Oleraina. Now Ndoye. None of these Forest players are going to want to give the ball away. Gibbs right with a little step over. Luca couldn't get his way into a shooting position. It is him who knocks it out for a goal kick at the end of what was a really promising team move.
Well, they're playing with so much confidence now. Fenerbahçe do not know what to do and how to stop Nottingham Forest, because they shift it to one side, overload that side with Anderson, Hudson-Odoi, and even Nico Williams still bursting forward into the 18-yard box, and then just switch it out to this side. We've got Dannon Doy, who's got real good pace about him. Olaena using the ball brilliantly, and Fenerbahçe just giving the ball away needlessly over and over again.
Nene looking for Sherif, now being deployed as the central striker. N'Golo Conte winning it high up the field. He's into the penalty area. His pass was away from Sherif and enables Nico Williams to clear. He's back now with Sayuncu inside the Fenerbahçe half. Forest leading 3-0. Guendouzi forward to N'Golo Conte. Probably been their best player, isn't he, Conte?
Yeah, he's certainly trying to make things happen, but now again, Forest 11 players behind the ball, 40 yards from their own goal. Morgan Gibbs-White's trying to get his team up the pitch a little bit. They're still really comfortable. Asensio now picking the ball up just inside the D of Forest's defensive half, and they're just not really having any effect with their attacking players high up the pitch.
They want this clean sheet, don't they? Nottingham Forest to take back to the City ground. Doy, a powerful dart down the right-hand side from him, and he knocks it forward, looking for Luca. He's got the most headed goals in Serie A last season. No surprise, he's absolutely massive. The Italian.
He is massive. Watching him run down this right-hand channel, a lovely ball through for Ndoye, but just can he add that amount of legs that Igor Jesus gave up in that first 60 minutes?
Two more Forest changes, and Elliot Anderson is going to be wrapped in cotton wool for that game against Liverpool in the Premier League at the weekend. The newly bleached Nicolas Dominguez comes on for him. We're also going to see Ryan Yates, the fan favourite for the conclusion of this match, and it's Morgan Gibbs-White, the captain, who is passing the armband over. These are sensible changes, aren't they, from Vitor Pereira, with his team leading 3-0.
Yeah, absolutely, and we said it's only a matter of time before now that third goal's gone in. Who do they take off? And if that doesn't tell you who their most important players are for the weekend, then I don't know what does. But Elliot Anderson, week in, week out, is the best player on the pitch for Nottingham Forest. His levels just don't drop, his energy, the way he uses the ball. For me, he's one of the most influential midfield players in the Premier League.
You can see why he's in such high demand this summer, being watched by the likes of Manchester United and Manchester City, Liverpool as well. As the cross is steered in towards Ndoye, and he fouled his man and then headed wide anyway. Free kick for Fenerbahçe. A little factoid about Ryan Yates for you, by the way. One of only 6 Nottingham Forest players who've scored on every day of the week. Our own Stuart Pearce among that number as well.
Wow. I think I did that in training. Does that count?
Not quite, I don't think.
What a career, what a rise he's seen. He's been in every single level when he's gone out and played games on loan, and really fantastic career to get himself to this level, competing in the Premier League week in, week out as well, and great player to be able to bring on the pitch.
And Sangare has been dispossessed by Yuksek high up the field. Again, Sangare able to atone for that and win it back. Little cross into the penalty area. Senzio with the back heel effort straight into the arms of Stefan Ortega, but at least for Fenerbahçe it's a shot on target.
Yeah, just keeping Forest honest, and I think that was the first time they just outnumbered Forest at the back. Ball in from Semedo. Asensio again, first time he'd made any venture forward inside 18-yard box of Forest to cause an issue going forward. He tries to flick one the outside of his left heel, but thankfully it's straight at Ortega. But just keeping Forest honest now for this last 20 minutes.
Don't forget commentary to come from Celtic against Stuttgart, first leg of their Europa League playoff after we're finished here, as Ndoye comes down the right hand side, well defended by Mercat. Ball out for, I was going to say goal kick, but it's a corner, and then Oosterwolde clearly doesn't agree with that decision. He said something to the referee and he's picked up a yellow card.
Yeah, just looking at Dan Ndoye, and again a big money signing, like you say, from Bologna in the summer. He just probably hasn't hit the ground running, similar to Amari Hutchinson, I'd say. But when you bring in Amari Hutchinson off, who's giving you so much going forward, to then bring Dan Ndoye on, who just loves to run, wants to run in behind, open his legs, he's got pace, he's got power, and it's such a tool for Forest that they have to use, especially to relieve pressure. And and keep Fenerbahçe guessing for the rest of the game.
The yellow card, by the way, is a costly one for Jadon Oosterwolde. He will miss the second leg next week. It's going to be a corner from the Nottingham Forest right, and they get a fourth goal in the final 20 minutes. And Doyle with the delivery. Ederson, for me, has looked uncomfortable at every corner. He flaps at it, and then it's Hudson-Odoi with a shot which may have come off the fingertips of the ex-Manchester City goalkeeper and behind for another corner. I don't remember him being this flappy when he was at Manchester City. Ederson.
No, I think it's a funny one, because to be fair to him, he's come for every cross. He's probably got something on every single cross, but it's not been convincing at all. He's flapped, he's tried to punch, it's hit his palm. It just keeps dropping into the danger zone. And again, he's had to make a good save from Callum Hudson-Odoi from the edge of the area on the sort of sidewinder volley. Touches it over again, but it's just not relieving pressure, is he? He's just causing a few issues that don't really need to be there for Fenerbahçe.
Hudson-Odoi with a corner, didn't clear the first man, but it is out of play for a Nottingham Forest throw as Adam Morton hits the crossbar for Crystal Palace. 1-1 over in Bosnia. Alright, they've got plenty on that throw-in, and it's headed down by Milenkovic, but collected it is near post by Ederson. 3-0 Forest lead. We've got 19 minutes to go here. Goals in the first half. Murillo, after a lung-bursting run, he broke the deadlock on 21 minutes. Igor Jesus from point-blank range with a header from a corner doubled that lead 2 minutes before half-time, and Morgan Gibbs-White 6 minutes into the second half after some shocking defending from Fenerbahçe. Really put the gloss on what has been a tremendous opening night as far as Vitor Pereira, the new Forest manager, is concerned. With 3-0, the tie's over, isn't it, if they see this out?
I think when you go to the City ground, especially on a European night that they've waited so long for, you would like to think it'll be a carnival atmosphere, but the game in between now and then with Liverpool will tell its own story. I think they just have to take as much promise. I think with this game plan that they've executed tonight, if they do take that into the weekend, they're going to have a real good chance to try and take something from that. But yeah, you would imagine now, and now after seeing Fenerbahçe in their home stadium where they've been so formidable, the performance they've put together, and credit has to go to Forest. They've stopped them at every single way they've tried to play tonight, and they've just been so ruthless.
Nene back to Oosterwolde inside the centre circle. 18 minutes to go. 3-0 to Nottingham Forest. Guendouzi just runs to the left, then runs back to the right. Sideways stuff here from Fenerbahçe. Again, credit to Nottingham Forest for how well organised they are when they're out of possession. And in fact, stats tell us Fenerbahçe have had more of the ball in the second half, but still just really the one big opportunity when Asensio tried the back heel straight down the throat of Ortega. Guendouzi out to the right-hand side for Fenerbahçe, picked up by Semedo. Hello Conte now, but again they're forced back to the halfway line, and the captain Sayuncu. Actually get anything in the last 17 minutes to give themselves hope of a comeback next week in Nottingham. It's all very laboured from Domenico Tedesco's men. Oosterwolde to N'Golo Conte, back heel to Asensio, gets it back Conte, then shifts it out to the right and Semedo tricks Nico Williams into thinking he was going to cross first time, then plays it for Asensio to scoop the ball towards the penalty area. Here is Mercan. Low ball into the box is easily dealt with by Sangare, and he's set N'Doye away down the right. N'Doye with a switch of play to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Just ciphers it back to Nico Williams. You can see there that Forest now are conserving energy levels, not particularly desperate to go forward in search of the fourth goal. Even though N'Doye had a lot of space to run into.
Exactly, he didn't even try and attack, but then what you see from Fenerbahçe is they immediately don't try and put any pressure on the ball. They drop back into numbers, which isn't going to help them at all. They need to get bodies forward, put pressure on the ball, and they're going to have to take more risks now. So it's such a tricky spot for them to be in, because if they do go after the game, they're going to leave themselves open at the back, where we've seen Forest be so ruthless and them not tracking runners from midfield and from their centre halves. So they're in a tough spot, but Forest are handling it brilliantly at the moment.
It's been Not a perfect away performance in Europe, really, from a Nottingham Forest perspective. Fenerbahçe second in the Turkish league, only 3 points behind Galatasaray. Not lost a league game all season, but they have been well and truly pummeled here. The fourth goal really would be the icing on the cake for Forest. Murkan picks up possession down his left-hand side. We're about to see another Fenerbahçe change. Nene is going to look to switch this from left to right, looking for Semedo, slightly behind the former Wolves man, and he's going to have to get there ahead of Lorenzo Luca. Manages to do that, but Guendouzi now deep inside his own half, comes over halfway to Murkan. Too many options in the centre, but Conte made a good run into the area, found by Murkan, gives it back to the left back. His cross is stabbed clear on the slide by Milenkovic. Now Guendouzi will look to build again. It's Fred, the former Manchester United man, who'll be coming on next time there's a stoppage in play. Adding to that ex-Premier League contingent. Fenerbahçe as Olorine plays the ball upfield and it's brought down neatly by Luca. Guendouzi plays it again to Lorenzo Luca and out for a throw, and here is that change. It is indeed Fred. N'Golo Conte is going to get the final 15 minutes off. Fred, who won 4 out of 4 against Nottingham Forest during his Manchester United career, would do well to maintain that record in the last 14 minutes with his team trailing 3-0. There are quite a few empty seats starting to appear around the stadium. Many of the home supporters have seen enough. Luke Chambers.
Yeah, I think certainly the hope and the expectation before kick-off and the volume in the stadium compared to where it is now, and the disappointment that's obviously being shown and transferring onto the pitch, is absolute stark contrast, and credit to Nottingham Forest. The only thing I'm questioning now is, are they getting enough pressure on the ball once they've made the changes of big personalities of Morgan Gibbs-White's gone off the pitch, Anderson's gone off the pitch, and even Igor Jesus, who was setting off every single bit of pressure on Fenerbahçe. They've just dropped in a little bit slightly, and you don't want to give the last 15 minutes up to Fenerbahçe to create an opportunity to maybe just get an extra goal, which would then bring the tie alive again. So just got to be careful in that respect.
I guess it was inevitable from a fitness point of view as well. They weren't going to be able to maintain the energy levels all the way through the 90 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what they have done when they have won the ball back in this last period is keep it very, very well, taking the pressure off, not look to hit on the counter-attack, which they've done so well in that opening 65, 70 minutes. And opportunities like now, Ryan Yates just buying a free kick in his own half, taking the sting out of the game, and now they just look to build possession with not real any threat going forward at the moment.
Dominguez and Olorine exchanging passes on the halfway line. Dominguez with a back heel into Sangare. Hudson-Odoi and acres of space to the left if they choose to use him. They've gone back into the Forest half and Milenkovic instead. Now Murillo, his brilliant solo goal really set the stall for Forest tonight. Can they get a fourth? Nico Williams is through and he's been clattered by Sayuncu. It's a yellow card. And I guess the referee would say there were Fenerbahçe players covering, but that was quite a cynical challenge by Sayuncu. He knew that Nico Williams had the beating of him and just absolutely took him out.
Oh, it's so rash, and what is it, 30 yards from goal? He's absolutely clattered Nico Williams. You knew from our position that how far away he was. Even just Nico Williams just nicking the ball away, he's absolutely clattered him, and Ryan Yates immediately runs over and is questioning, is he through on goal, referee? I don't think he was, but if that doesn't sum up Fenerbahçe's defensive performance and lack of probably discipline and reading the game, I don't know what will. But a real chance for Forest now to just put a little bit more pressure on with this free kick.
Yeah, 79 minutes on the clock. Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 3. And a free kick that Dominguez, I think, is just going to scoop to around about the penalty spot. At the moment, there are 2 or 3 Forest players still in offside positions. They'll try and get back onside, but it doesn't matter because Dominguez has put it straight into the arms of Ederson, who for once doesn't flap at it. Potential penalty check in the Crystal Palace game in the Conference League. I think it's a penalty check in favour of Zurinsky. So there could be late drama there. I don't think we're going to get late drama in Istanbul. Fenerbahçe have really troubled the 33-year-old Stefan Ortega, 5 times a trophy winner at Manchester City. As Semedo comes forward over halfway for the hosts, plays it down the right-hand side to Asensio. His cross is blocked behind by Murillo for only Fenerbahce's 3rd corner of the evening. He's been an absolute rock, hasn't he? If they can keep him fit alongside Milenkovic for the rest of the season, again, that is reasons for optimism as far as Vitor Pereira is concerned. Asensio whips in the corner, flicked off the head of Milenkovic with Ortega scrambling. Given away down by the left corner, flagged by Guendouzi. Had a really poor night, isn't he, the ex-Arsenal man? Gunners fans will say, well, we've seen these kind of performances before. Semedo can't keep the ball in play. It's a throw-in for Forest. I think that penalty is going to be given, by the way, over in Bosnia. Palace were a goal up. They might be about to find themselves 2-1 behind. It's been a difficult European campaign for Oliver Glasner. You think they've already lost at home to Larnaca, failed to beat Coops as well. Had they have done, they wouldn't have needed a play-off, and now they're struggling against a team of minnows in Bosnia.
Yeah, I think it's a real difficult one, because obviously Palace as a club have let his contract run down. The situation with Mark Gahey, all their important players, that puts the decision-making processes maybe under threat when you don't have that security from a manager who's done brilliantly for that football club. So I think it's one thing after another. It seems to be going wrong for Palace at the minute.
Certainly not going wrong for Forest here. 9 minutes to go. Fenerbahce 0, Nottingham Forest 3. All of the goals coming inside the first 52 minutes. Fenerbahce have shown very little sign of making any real fight of it in the second half. You are listening to Fenerbahce against Nottingham Forest in the Europa League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. No penalty was the decision, which is unusual when the referee gets called over to the monitor over in Bosnia. So it's still 1-1, Zrinjski against Palace.
Yeah, we had one of them tonight, didn't we? It could have been a very, very different tie had the referee given that potential handball against Murillo in that first half. But from our point of view, it didn't really look like a handball and a penalty, but we've certainly seen them being given in these European competitions.
Yeah, there was a penalty appeal at either end, wasn't there, as Callum Hudson-Odoi is the latest Nottingham Forest player to be given a little bit of time out. And again, I seem to keep saying it tonight, James McAtee, one of their summer acquisitions, who has really struggled a lot more than many would have expected, is coming on for the last knockings of this game. I think when we made that £30 million move from Manchester City, most of us would have expected it to be a signing that would work out very well.
Well, I think it just sums it up, really. Every single signing we're talking about from a Forest perspective is 30 million plus. So
McAtee straight away trying to get involved inside the penalty area, but sliding in was Oosterwolde to clear. There's no real belief, is there, about Fenerbahce that they can get back in this tie. Forest almost playing at a walking pace now. Sangare back to Dominguez. 3-0 to the visitors, 7 minutes of normal time to play. And more empty seats are appearing in the home sections of the stadium.
Crookie, I think you made the fantastic point before the game, and the team selection. It was almost back to that team that had brought Forest success in that season last year, and they just seem to be like a team that's playing together. They know each other's game almost all of a sudden.
Dominguez plays the ball out to the left-hand side. Opportunity for a cross, but defended only half away, and then Dominguez with the effort. Left corner of the 6-yard box, he's got right underneath the shot, hammers it over the crossbar when he really should have tested Ederson. It was Ndoye with a run down the left originally, given away by Yüksek inside his own penalty area, and he had a lot more time than he used there, Dominguez. He just gets underneath the shot, and it remains 3-0 to Forest.
Oh, what a huge chance though. Dominguez got all the time in the world. Such confusion, sloppy play from Fenerbahce. The ball is just left, and all the players in yellow and navy shirts run away from it. All he's got to do is just find that far corner, and then it certainly is tie over. But what a big miss from a Forest perspective.
Here's James McAtee for Forest. 5 minutes to go. McAtee into Yates, but intercepted by Fred, and Fred with the ball forward looking for Asensio, cleared away by Murillo again. I mean, you look at Forest's standout performance tonight, Murillo is right up there. I know you've been impressed, particularly, Luke, by Ibrahim Sangare, Amari Hutchinson obviously before he went off, Jesus leading the line. So many heroes in red for this visiting team. Guendouzi to Sayuncu, two of the ex-Premier League players combining passes, and then Guendouzi with the ball forward to Asensio. Fenerbahçe nil, Forest 3. Celtic against Stuttgart still to come as Oosterwolde hammers his clearance against Dominguez, but gets there to knock it back to Edison, the goalkeeper.
I think you just question yourself. Are we just seeing the new manager bounce, or the latest manager bounce for the Forest players?
Well, they didn't get much of a bounce, did they, out of Ange Postecoglou?
Well, exactly. And I say that with tongue-in-cheek, really, because obviously the fourth time they've had a new manager this season.
Well, they did get a bit of bounce under Sean Dyche. They got a fabulous win at Anfield under him. But certainly this is a brilliant start for Vitor Pereira. No team in Premier League history have ever had 4 permanent managers in a single season, but Marinakis doesn't like to do things the conventional way. And he will point to what we've seen here in Istanbul as well, the reason that he made the change. And certainly one of the complaints Nottingham Forest fans had is that under Sean Dyche maybe they were a little bit too passive. Certainly haven't been passive tonight.
Oh, certainly not. And whether that's been through the tactics and what the game plan has been tonight, they've certainly got absolutely everything right. And what are we now, into the 86th minute? They've not even laid a glove. The XG for Fenerbahçe tonight, 0.4. And how much you read into that, I think Ortega's made 1 save all night. It's been really, really positive from a Forest point of view, both going forward and defensively, which is what they're going to need in these next few weeks.
You're listening to Fenerbahçe against Nottingham Forest in the Europa League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Lorena plays the ball out for a throw deep inside his own half. They'll be frustrated, Nottingham Forest, if they were to concede in the last 3 minutes and give Fenerbahçe hope next week, but it hasn't really looked likely. Merkan with the throw in to Guendouzi, and then back to the halfway line, and the skipper Sayuncu. Sayuncu rolls it to his right, and the yellow-booted Fred. Much maligned really during his time at Manchester United, that Fred partnership with Scott McTominay, but what McTominay has gone on to do over in Italy. As Fred sweeps the ball out to his left-hand side, and Levant Merkan again. Forest content just to sit deep, everybody back behind the ball and see out the last couple of minutes plus added time. It's been that way really since Gibbs White added the 3rd goal early in the second half. Merkan forward to Nene, but Bayern are able to clear it away, and it's back now inside the centre circle with Kaglu Sayuncu. FA Cup winner with Leicester. Fred forward to the edge of the penalty area. That was a foul by Murillo. He just got too tight to Sheriff, and it's going to be a free kick here that maybe will ask questions of Stefan Ortega right at the end of the game.
Yeah, it certainly will. Not one you want to be giving away in the 88th minute for Murillo. He's been brilliant. He's just holding his middle section now. Just gets a little bit too tight to Sheriff, who does really well. He's probably been the only bright spark for Fenerbahçe in an attacking sense tonight. Just gets too tight, wrong side. And this gives a shooting chance for Fenerbahçe just to try and get something out of this game. And it would not be what Forest deserved to concede one this time late on.
They do have a technician stood over the ball in Marco Asensio. The summer signing from PSG, 12 goals to his name this season. Was excellent for Aston Villa on loan in the second half of last season. It's fully 25 yards out, just to the right of centre. Fred showing interest as well, but it is Asensio. It's over the wall, it's over the crossbar, and Ortega dived for effect, but he knew that was always rising. It stays Fenerbahçe nil, Forest 3.
Yeah, I think Ortega just wanted to feel like he was in the action, I think, and Asensio, yes, he's got great quality, but I think that just sums up his night personally tonight. Real lack of conviction in anything that he's done, and that free kick just drifts and floats over the crossbar as Ortega jumps across like prime Neville Southall.
One for the kids, that reference. We're into the last minute of the 90 on Talksport 2. It's Fenerbahçe 0, Nottingham Forest 3. They're into stoppage time in Bosnia in the Conference League. It's still Zrinjski 1, Palace 1. That sets it up for the second leg live on the Talksport network. Next Thursday, myself and Darren Ambrose will be at Selhurst Park. Oliver Glasner watching on our monitor has worn an increasingly frustrated look on his face in the second half. As Fenerbahçe win another free kick, as Murillo again with a late challenge, a bit further out this one on Asensio. So Forest making it a little tricky for themselves in the final minutes, but still with this 3-0 lead. Only 3 added minutes at the end of the 90. Yellow card for Fred, was it?
I think he's chased Nico Williams down, who's obviously just picked the ball up and carried it away. Runs over, two-handed push in the middle of his chest. Nico Williams, as we've used to seeing him, just going down relatively easy. But again, Murillo just stepping in a situation he probably doesn't need to. Maybe that's just that little bit of an injury layoff for him. Not really being at that match fitness.
Asensio scoops the free kick forward, headed away by Milenkovic. Nodded back out to Merkan, who can't keep it in play. I don't think it's going to be a throw-in for Forest, level with their 18-yard line. They are edging closer to keeping this 3-0 lead for the second leg next week. Their first ever trip to Turkey for a competitive game is going to be a memorable one. Ryan Yates, the captain, rises inside his own half to win the ball back with a head, and then foul on Lorenzo Luca by Oosterwolde. It's a free kick for Forest, 10 yards inside their own half. 3-0 they lead. Sangare forward to McAtee, and they have men over here. Nico Williams bursting down the left-hand side, shoots right-footed, deflected, and that's a good save down to his right-hand side by Ortega. Nico Williams close to a fourth there for Nottingham Forest.
And again, you highlighted him earlier, Sangare just takes a quick free kick and fizzes one into McAtee, who's marked by no one, who rolls a lovely ball out to the left-hand side. It's Nico Williams, who's got all the energy in the world, steps inside, couple of touches, and it looks for all the world it's flying into that near post, but credit to Ederson. Real good save, pushes it round the post for a Forest corner.
And Nottingham Forest 8th attempt on target in the game, and Doyle with a corner in the final of 3 added minutes. Ederson gets underneath the ball, punches it clear. There'd been a foul anyway, so it's going to be a Fenerbahçe free kick, and maybe one last opportunity for the host to get the ball forward and try and get on the score sheet. Less than a minute of stoppage time to play in Istanbul. Stadium virtually empty now, bar those travelling Nottingham Forest supporters. They will be kept in, no doubt, long after full time. I don't think they'll be complaining too much about that. Singing their songs, toasting a memorable European night, their first knockout tie in 30 years. Could hardly have gone more swimmingly. Foul by Guendouzi on McAtee, free kick for Forest inside their own half, right on the touchline in front of the manager Vitor Pereira, who helps McAtee back to his feet. We are seconds away now from full time. It's launched long by Murillo, and fitting that Forest Brazilian centre-back gets the final touch of the game, because it was his brilliant run and solo strike from distance that got Forest up and running tonight on 21 minutes. Morgan gives White, completing the route early in the second half after Igor Jesus had headed his 7th European goal of the season a couple of minutes before the end of the first half. And amid all the chaos at the City ground and the doom and gloom amongst the Nottingham Forest fans after seeing Vitor Pereira appointed as their 4th manager of the season, it is a memorable European night in Istanbul. Who'd have thought it? Nottingham Forest 3-0 winners away from home against Fenerbahçe.
And I think from a football perspective, you hear it a lot, let the football do the talking. And these players tonight, every single one of them, from the substitutions that have been made by Vitor Pereira, the game plan from minute one, I think inside the first 10 minutes they had 90% possession. They really set their stall out and they really showed the golf in quality that Nottingham Forest possess. And what a fantastic away performance under all this pressure, all the scrutiny, all the chaos, the mayhem, the fourth manager. They've really put a performance together tonight that should give them so much encouragement going into the second leg and into the weekend in the Premier League.
Big smiles on the faces of all the Nottingham Forest players, the substitutes, the coaching staff as well. Fenerbahçe have made this place a fortress over the course of the season, but Forest certainly stormed that fortress tonight to put, well, one foot and probably four toes on the other into the round of 16. It's going to take a Herculean effort or an incredible collapse from the home side for Forest not to go through next week.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to have to go to the City Ground and open up and commit bodies forward, and I think that's what Vitor Pereira and his team and his players will want, because we know and we've seen tonight how devastating they can be on the counter-attack with the pace they've got, and at the end of the day with the quality tonight they've showed. And Murillo gets them off to a fantastic start, but that's just by stepping in with confidence, winning the ball back high, and Forest did that all over the pitch tonight. A fantastic performance that should give them so much confidence moving forward.
So it's finished 3-0 to Nottingham Forest in Istanbul. Disappointing night in the end for Crystal Palace in the Conference League playoff. They've been held to a 1-1 draw away from home in Bosnia by Zrinjski, despite Ismail Assar giving them a half-time lead. It's ended at 1-1, the second leg live on the Talksport network next Thursday night. Elsewhere in the Europa League, it finished Bran 0, Bologna 1. Dinamo Zagreb beaten at home 3-1 by Genk. And Celta Vigo 2-1 winners away from home against PAOK. We've got Celtic against Stuttgart still to come tonight in the Conference League. Koups 0, Lech Poznan 2, Noah 1, AZ Alkmaar 0. They're still playing there. Sigma Olomouc 1, Lausanne Sport 1, as I mentioned, Zrinjski 1, Crystal Palace 1. Time now to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Well, a few contenders in Garibaldi Red, Luke Chambers, but I have a suspicion who you might pick.
Well, I think there's been so many tonight, and they've scored 3 goals, but I'm going to have to go for Murillo. Coming back in from injury, the way he set the team off with his goal, but then the way I think they defended, limited Fenerbahçe to so little opportunity on their goal. And me being a centre-half myself, watching that performance from him tonight, I think it's got to go to him.
There you go, that was our man of the match, Here For It hero with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.